What's good, everyone? Salty here. Before we begin, I need to say thank you to everyone who supports me in this channel. I f***ing love you guys. Alright, let's get down with some malicious compliance. Want me to edit my review? Okay, bet. I was going to buy a car from a small used car dealership. We agreed on a price and a day to meet. The morning of, he sold it out from under me right before I was there, with no courtesy call or text or anything. I wrote an accurate review reflecting my experiences with the dealership online. A couple days later, he calls and threatens me with a lawsuit claiming my review is slander. He warned me everyone else that gave a 1-star review was sued for slander and had to pay court fees and remove their review. He said if I edited the review, everything would be fine and he wouldn't take me to court. Well, I obliged and edited my review, stating he threatened me over the phone with a lawsuit since I gave a negative review and that my review was in fact 100% accurate of my experiences. The icing on the cake? I texted him right after I edited the review and said, "Hey man, edited the review as requested. Hope there are no hard feelings." I guess he didn't read my edit before replying with, "Thanks man, I appreciate it. No hard feelings." I'll update if he reads the review and contacts me again. Oh, that one's gold. I'm gonna follow this one for that update. This guy has no idea what he's talking about with slander. It seems the word he's looking for is defamation. Either way, it sounds like this guy is used to getting really crappy reviews. Just delete it all? Can do. When you work as an independent, you need to learn how to charge for your work. You also have to learn to deal with the people that insist on not wanting to pay for what you do. When I worked as a to-go tech for a major telecom company in my country, I also took the time to ask my appointees if they wanted my contact information, in case they needed someone to fix their computers. This after-work side hustle really helped me pay the bills because for some reason, working for a major telecom company just doesn't pay the bills the way it should. Most of the people I picked up as clients were good, decent, respectful folk. This is a story of Lewis, who was not that kind of person. Okay, so Lewis had computer problems. He calls me one day saying, "My computer won't turn on." It's a Sunday morning and I was hoping for a quiet day of contemplation before returning to my wandering. Lewis, however, was very insistent that I go over there now, and that he would pay extra if I fix his problem as fast as possible, because he is a busy man. This is good because I am super broke. Now, Lewis is almost a perfect stereotype. Massive ego, a notable disregard for the concerns of lesser people, and almost no capacity to listen to people who know what they are doing. Charming guy. I still don't know why his previous tech guy ghosted him. Anyhow, apparently his computer won't turn on. Turns out it did, but Windows would just not load. Turns out the file system was damaged and I have to take it home to assess the damage and format. "Just fix it," he cuts me off when I try to explain the damage. He has a meeting in like a half an hour and doesn't have time for this. After a quick check, I can tell the hard drive is fine, still has a couple of years left in him. I still need to format or it won't work. So I call Lewis super fast to explain myself again. "It's just a format, it's gonna take me some time to do the backup of your..." Lewis cuts me off again. "No backup, I need it now. Just format. Besides, you're just gonna overcharge me again like you always do." And he hangs up. I was gonna tell him I don't charge for backups. So I just do it. Put the hard drive back in and format the whole thing. Not back up the years of business documents and spreadsheets he would most definitely need. And I knew for a fact that those were not backed up separately like I recommended. So about an hour later, Lewis gets his computer, pays up, and I am out of there. He doesn't realize he is missing all the important stuff until 2 days later. It was a fun call, and I never worked with him again. Never worked with him again because he lost his mind trying to figure out where all his data went. Years of business documents and spreadsheets and stuff like that. It's never a bad idea to back up your stuff. I don't have the time, and you don't have a job. When I started working for a local council IT support desk in 2005, the standard operating procedure for answering calls is that when the phone rang, we take the user details, their fault description, and attempt to fix the issue. This went on for 6 years until we had a new manager, with several innovative ideas which we all knew was not going to work in our particular environment. New manager calls a meeting with the entire team, including his own manager and the head of IT. he lays out the new rules and procedures. We stated that his procedures were not going to work because of various other protocols and the distance between sites. No one in authority listened to our concerns. Two main policies were that we divided into 3 shifts: morning shift 0700 to 1500, day shift 0900 to 1700, and late shift 1400 to 2200, and that only the day shift is supposed to spend time fixing the more complex issues. Morning shift and late shift are simply call takers. Call takers had 2 minutes per call, and any breach was brought up at your monthly review. Of all the new policies, the 2 minutes per call rule was the worst. Not only did we have a mere 2 minutes to take a call, we had to attempt some troubleshooting and write up all the notes. If this was a new employee, we also had to add their details into the system. Being the most senior support person on the team, I made a mental list of what I could do in that 2 minutes. It was a small list, but it meant that when the first shift started at 7 a.m., most of the important work could be done. Malicious Compliance 1. After a month, the department was in chaos because we could only work 2 minutes before handing it off to the day shift. There were a lot of calls for the 3 day shift workers to attempt to fix. The outstanding queue went from 100 calls to nearly 2,000 in that month. I maximized my time on every call. If I couldn't fix the call, I ensured that every call would take just under the 2-minute mark, then dump them in the day shift call queue. Dropped calls, people who called and hung up, increased drastically, and one of the team went on long-term sick due to stress. Ugh, sounds a lot like me at my day job. Eventually, the boss decided to come in early and see what the problem was. He sees me and the other tech taking calls and stands over us while we work through the calls. We both take less than 2 minutes per call and follow his rules to the letter. He has no reason to complain, but sees that the calls are dropping. With 2 people taking calls, 2 minutes per call, and a peak of 30 calls around the 8:30 a.m. time, mean that lots of these calls drop and then call back later. Later in the shift, I see him checking call stats and see his face get red. He knows that his policy is not working. MaliciousCompliance 2. The following day, boss calls us all into a meeting room and states that we must work harder or smarter. He tells us that we need to use the on-site support team to handle the logged calls instead of the day shift. We still had the 2-minute rule and the same staffing levels. I mentioned a couple of times that the VIPs couldn't wait, and that we need 4 people taking calls from 8 a.m. I was told that the rule still stood. The day after, and we find out that on-site support have no free slots for over a week, which is 3 times shorter than the day shift's waiting times. Boss is in, and instead of logging onto the phone, he's simply floating around. As 8:30 rolls around, I answer yet another call. This is a VIP, the chief executive. He's in a meeting room 70 miles away attempting to turn on his laptop, but he can't get past the encryption software. It's an easy fix, but takes 10 minutes over the phone. I can't do it because of the 2-minute rule. I'm torn between dropping the calls or annoying the chief executive. Boss sees me hesitate and asks what's going on. Laptop encryption. He's in distant town. The boss shuts me down. Hand it off to desktop. I told him that they wouldn't be able to get out for over a week and that the day shift could fix it, but this is stopping him from working. Day shift is too busy. I don't care who it is. Hand the call off, he told me before walking off. I took the details and told the chief executive that I'd have to hand the call off, made the notes on the call, and gave the incident reference. I realized that I hadn't told him who it was, but he could get this information easily. I also saved and replayed the recorded conversation to find that my boss could be heard clearly. After lunch, I was called into the office of the head IT. He chewed me out for leaving the chief executive without anything to present the council's vision of the future for distant town. I was told that the chief executive wants someone's head, metaphorically, for the treatment, and that formal proceedings had started and I was to be suspended on full pay. And did I have anything to add? I told the head of IT that my boss had told me to do it, and when I started to explain about it, he walked away. I also told him that if he pulled my phone log for that call, he could hear the boss saying that. I was told to stay in that office while the head of IT checked. An hour later, I was told to go home on full pay and return in the morning. The result was that the new boss was, quote, replaced, end quote, fired, and a new boss was placed there, promoted internally, Actually listen to his staff and let us suggest improvements. I swear, this is just how call centers work. Managers walk around like slave runners. No, they won't get on the phone, even if there's 30 calls on hold. They're too good for that kind of work. The last thing they want to do is log into the phone and talk to a damn customer. It's so true. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know in the comments on some other subreddits I should look at next. Jump on the Discord and chat me if you're interested, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.